Role number 26.
The director of architecture.
Yes, coming in with a projected salary of 175,000. Now, when I was reading the breakdown for this, it felt almost like this person acts as the Supreme Court of a firm's design.
That's a highly accurate way to look at it, actually.
Right, like they step in when things get messy.
They are the architectural conscience. So imagine a scenario where a project's grand environmental ambition suddenly collides with a shrinking budget.
Which is every project ever.
Exactly. Or, the client suddenly gets cold feet about using a new low-carbon concrete. The director of architecture is the one who steps in to hold the line.
But wait, I mean, don't most large firms just have like a dedicated green team that handles all the sustainability stuff? Why is the director of architecture dealing with this?
So that's exactly what this document points out as an outdated model.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in modern environmental architecture, sustainability isn't just a parallel track run by some niche group in the corner office.
It has to be baked in.
Exactly. It has to be a built-in expectation. This director ensures that passive design, which, means using the building's actual orientation to the sun and wind to heat and cool it, is considered on day one.
Rather than just pumping in massive amounts of air conditioning later.
Right. They shape what the firm accepts as good architecture, setting that baseline that the firm absolutely refuses to drop below.
Okay, so if the director of architecture is the firm's conscience, making sure the design is morally and aesthetically sound, how do they ensure a highly experimental green building doesn't just leak water everywhere?
Well, that is the million-dollar question.
And it brings us to role number 25 on the list, the director of technical services at $178,000.
You hit the nail on the head. If role 26 is the conscience, role 25 is the immune system.
The immune system, I like that.
The source describes this role as the person who prevents the firm from getting hurt. They oversee the technical standards and the risk mitigation.
So explain that mechanism for me a bit, because technical standards, I mean, it sounds like a very dry way of saying they sit around reading building codes all day.
It's so much deeper than that. Let's take something called envelope integrity.
Envelope integrity, okay.
Yeah, the envelope is basically the skin of the building, the walls, the roof, the windows. In high-performance environmental buildings, if that skin isn't perfectly airtight, the energy efficiency completely collapses.
Oh, wow. So all the green tech is useless.
Totally useless. Moisture gets in, mold grows, and suddenly the firm is facing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. So the director of technical services isn't just drawing that wall for one single building.
What are they doing then?
They're creating a firm-wide library of foolproof, thoroughly tested wall designs.
Oh, I see. So it's about scalable system. It's almost like they are creating a recipe book for the whole firm.
A very strict recipe book, yeah.
Then they're saying, like, if you want to build a green roof in Seattle, you must use recipe number 4 so we don't get sued.
Exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
They spend their days reviewing escalations, auditing projects, and really just preventing problems before they ever occur.
So they ensure that the sustainable performance becomes robust rather than incredibly fragile.
Right, because innovation can be very fragile if you don't have that technical baseline.
That makes total sense. But, having a brilliant recipe book only works if people actually open it.
Very true.
And if you have a massive firm with 500 architects spread across 10 different time zones, you can't just hand out physical binders anymore.
No, you definitely need infrastructure.
Which leads us to the next evolution on our list. Section 2 here, the digital multipliers. We hit role number 24.
The head of BIM, or digital practice.
Coming in at $180,000.
Right, and BIM stands for Building Information Modeling, for those who might not know. This person basically runs the firm's digital bloodstream.
But I want to pause here for a second, because when I hear head of digital, I immediately think of the IT guy fixing my email or like updating software licenses.
There are a lot of people do.
But the source makes it clear this is a highly strategic role, especially for environmental architecture.
Oh, it is far beyond IT. I mean, in modern architecture, you aren't just drawing lines on a screen anymore. You are building a deeply complex three-dimensional database.
Like a digital twin.
Exactly. Every single digital brick or window in that model contains data about its material, its cost, and crucially, its carbon footprint.
So the head of BIM ensures those carbon reporting workflows actually function.
Right, and the energy analysis exports. They create the digital environment that makes the firm's work measurable in the first place.
Okay, so they manage the database, but then we hit role number 23, the head of design technology firm-wide.
Yes, and the salary jumps to $185,000 here.
And I really have to push back on this one, because to an outsider, design technology sounds exactly like BIM. We just talked about the digital bloodstream. What is the actual difference?
It's a very common point of confusion, but the distinction is vital. If BIM manages the database and the rules, design technology is the creative automation engine.
The creative automation engine.
Yeah, the document calls them the creative cousin of BIM. They build what are known as multipliers.
Okay, let's unpack that word. What does a multiplier actually look like in practice? Give me an example.
Okay, think about a team designing a skyscraper with, say, thousands of windows.
Huge project.
Right. A traditional architect would have to manually draw every single sunshade to optimize for the glare of the sun.
Yeah.
It would take weeks.
Just drawing shades all day.
Exactly. But the head of design tech doesn't draw the shades. They write a computational script.
Oh, I see where this is going.
You plug in the GPS coordinates of the site, and the software automatically angles every single sunshade on that 40-story building perfectly.
To block the harsh summer sun, but let in the winter heat.
Yes, all done in a fraction of the time.
That is wild. It's almost like a software company's DevOps team.
That's a great comparison.
They are building internal tools like automated embodied carbon extraction, or this parametric shading you mentioned, that allow the actual design team to iterate 50 different options in an afternoon.
Without breaking under the time constraints or missing their deadlines, exactly. Their goal isn't just to pull off a one-time magic trick for a fancy design competition. Their job is to package those scripts so they become part of the everyday engine for every single architect in the firm.
Which is huge. And that brings us to a massive psychological shift on this list. We are crossing a major threshold right here with role number 22.
The senior principal.
Right, at $190,000. And the source notes that right around the salary band, the job fundamentally changes.
It really does. You are no longer executing the work.
Yeah.
You are guiding the firm's strategy.
And I feel like this is a transition that anyone listening who has ever moved into middle or upper management can relate to, regardless of their industry.
Oh, absolutely. The work becomes less about doing and more about deciding.
Less about doing, more about deciding. I love that.
You are no longer the person running the energy simulation. You are deciding whether the firm even has the capability to offer energy simulations as a service.
So they are basically the guardians of credibility. If the marketing team is out there running ads saying, we build the greenest buildings in the world, the senior principal is the one looking at the staff and saying, do we actually have the talent to back that up?
Right. And the stakes of those decisions just completely explode as we move to role number 21.
The partner, or equity principal, at $195,000.
Notice that phrasing in the document here, equity, changes your job.
Yeah, for the listener thinking about their own career ladder, this is a huge moment. This isn't just a $5,000 raise from the senior principal.
Not at all.
What does getting equity actually mean for your day-to-day anxiety?
Well, it means you now own the outcomes. Quite literally.
You have skin in the game.
Tons of it.
Yeah.
You own a piece of the profitability, sure, but you also own a piece of the liability and the brand reputation.
Right.
This is where you are asking the incredibly heavy moral questions.
Give me an example of a moral question at this level.
Like, do we accept a highly profitable commission to build an airport terminal, knowing the massive carbon footprint it entails?
Oh, wow. That's a tough call.
Or do we walk away from a client who outright refuses to meet our internal energy targets?
Because if the firm gets exposed for greenwashing, or if massive project goes bankrupt, it's not just the company taking a hit anymore, it's your personal equity.
Exactly. You are defining the firm's risk tolerance.
Yeah.
What you choose to say no to at this level defines the firm's future far more than any single building you could ever design.
That perfectly sets up role number 20, the regional principal, at $205,000.
Yes, breaking the 200K mark.
Right. And this person takes that heavy moral and strategic direction we just talked about, and they have to figure out how to scale it across multiple offices.
They manage the sheer complexity of geography.
Right.
So let's say the equity partners decide the firm is going to achieve net zero carbon on all projects by 2030.
Which is a great global mandate to have.
It is. But the regional principal has to actually make it happen in reality.
Because building a net zero office building in the freezing winters of Chicago requires a completely different approach than building one in the extreme humidity of Singapore.
Exactly. They are navigating local building codes, specific regional climate risks, and totally different market expectations.
So they have to figure out how environmental sustainability becomes a competitive, profitable advantage in their specific region.
Right, tailoring the global mission to the local reality.
Okay, so we've gone from the technical standards to the digital tools up through the regional strategy. That brings us to section 4, the VPs.
The vice presidents.
We are looking at role number 19, the VP of Sustainability and ESG, coming in at $215,000.
A critical role.
Now, I have to be honest here. When I see salaries crossing the 200K mark, I start asking, what exactly is this person doing that the regional architects and the principals aren't already handling?
It's a fair question, but it's a completely different language at this level.
How?
This VP sits squarely at the interface between environmental performance and corporate strategy. It is partly strategy, partly diplomacy, and crucially, it is about audit-proofing the firm.
Audit-proofing. Okay, break down ESG for us, because that term gets thrown around a lot in the news.
Right. Environmental, social, and governance.
Exactly.
So ESG reporting is not just a shiny marketing brochure. It is often a rigid, legally binding financial disclosure.
Oh, so there are actual legal stakes here.
Huge stakes. Major investors and corporate clients require these reports. If an architecture firm claims they are reducing their carbon footprint by 40%, this VP is the one who has to legally prove it.
They can't just guess.
No, they translate those lofty idealistic environmental goals into hard metrics, compliance frameworks, and targets that will actually stand up to external auditors.
So they are the bridge between the firm's ideals and the stark reality of corporate finance.
Very well put.
So if role 19 is handling the strict compliance and reporting, role number 18 is focused entirely on the creative horizon.
Yes, the VP of Design and Innovation at $220,000.
They shape the firm's creative identity. And it's important to note how the document frames innovation here, right?
I feel like.
Because in environmental architecture, innovation isn't just about drawing crazy futuristic shapes that win magazine awards.
Right. The text specifically calls out performance-integrated aesthetics.
Yeah. Can you give me an example of what that actually means? Performance-integrated aesthetics.
Yeah, sure. It means the beauty of the building is derived directly from how it performs environmentally.
Okay.
So instead of designing a plain glass box and then just slapping some solar panels on the roof as an afterthought.
Which looks terrible, usually.
Right. Instead of that, this VP pushes teams to invent new material strategies. Maybe the facade itself is made of a bio-based material that naturally breathes and filters the air.
Oh, wow.
And that texture, that functionality, actually becomes the signature look of the building.
So they are creating repeatable, beautiful systems that deliver better buildings faster.
Yeah.
But innovation is inherently risky, right? I mean, trying out brand new biomaterials sounds like a fantastic way to accidentally blow a client's budget by $50 million.
It is a huge financial risk. Which brings us to the ultimate reality check of the firm.
Rule number 17. The VP of Project Delivery or Operations at $225,000.
The operational spine of the firm.
If the VP of Design is the accelerator, this role feels like the steering wheel and the brakes.
There's a perfect analogy. They manage the delivery governance, the resource planning, and ultimately the profitability.
Right.
When a highly innovative project goes completely off the rails, they are the ones who get on a plane to fix it.
I used to think operations was just about making sure people filled out their timesheets on Friday.
A lot of people do.
But this document frames it as the mechanism that keeps the firm alive. You can design the most sustainable, carbon-negative building in history, but if it's 5 years late and bankrupts the firm, it's a massive failure.
Completely. They ensure that all of these grand environmental commitments don't explode the schedules.
They integrate the milestones.
Exactly. They integrate sustainability milestones directly into the daily delivery systems, so a major energy efficiency failure doesn't pop up as a surprise 3 days before the blueprints are due.
So they basically turn raw architectural creativity into a viable, functioning business.
Yes, they make the art profitable.
Okay, we are entering the final stretch of the list here, the executive apex. This is where the firm's very soul is forged.
Of heavy hitters.
We group roll 16 and 15 together here. The managing principal at $230,000 and the managing partner at $240,000.
We have reached the absolute top of the leadership chain.
At this altitude, it feels like a world of constant, agonizing trade-offs.
It really is. The managing principal is constantly balancing investment versus margin.
Right. Like, do we spend $1 million upgrading our internal digital software,
Yeah.
which hurts our profit margin this year but makes us faster next year?
Exactly. And then the managing partner, role 15, takes all of that and adds what the source calls equity-weighted gravity.
I love that phrase, equity-weighted gravity.
It carries an immense burden. You are managing the partnership itself. You are making the long-term strategic bets, deciding on mergers and acquisitions.
And determining the overarching ownership structure.
Right. And for an environmental architecture firm, this is the person who makes the ultimate call.
The big one.
Are we truly going to be a climate-first, performance-driven firm? Or are we just going to treat sustainability as a marketing buzzword to win bids?
Their decisions define the market's fundamental trust in the brand.
Which leads us perfectly to the ultimate truth teller of that brand.
Rule number 14. The Chief Sustainability Officer, or CSO, at $250,000.
At $250,000, their mandate is massive.
What exactly does that look like at the C-suite level?
They sit at the absolute center of the firm's credibility. They set the ultimate vision and ensure the reporting integrity.
So they're dealing with the outside world a lot.
Constantly. They interface with government regulators, international rating systems, and every single internal department, from human resources to finance.
Yeah, when you look at their late-day tasks in the document, it's all about external engagement and thought leadership.
Right.
If the managing partner decides the firm will be climate first, the CSO is the executive whose literal job is to ensure that narrative remains truthful, defensible, and legally sound to the outside world.
Exactly. They are the shield and the megaphone for the firm's values.
And finally, we reach the apex. The final title on our list, rule number 13.
The big one.
The Chief Design Officer, coming in at $255,000.
The CDO owns the firm's aesthetic and cultural identity at the highest possible level.
Right.
They answer the question, what does this firm stand for in the history books?
So after going through this entire complex hierarchy, the digital tools, the risk management, the ESG audits, what does all of this actually mean for the Chief Design Officer?
Well, the text points out that a strong CDO ensures environmental performance doesn't dilute the design.
And the design doesn't ignore the performance.
Exactly. The ultimate goal at this tier is marrying beauty and climate intelligence seamlessly.
So it doesn't look like a compromise.
Right. When the CDO does their job perfectly, the firm's output doesn't look like a fight between an artist and an engineer. It feels inevitable.
Inevitable, not compromised. What a standard to strive for.
Truly.
You know, looking back over this whole sequential journey, from the director of architecture at $175,000 all the way up to the CDO at $255,000, it is incredible how your perspective of the work has to fundamentally change.
It really is. And I think whether you, the listener, work in architecture or software engineering or healthcare administration, the massive takeaway here is about the true nature of organizational hierarchy.
Yeah.
As you move up, your job stops being about solving the immediate problem directly in front of you.
Right, you aren't fixing the leaky window anymore.
Exactly. Your job becomes designing the systems, the standards, and the culture that prevent the leaky window from ever being drawn in the first place.
You define quality for everyone else in the organization.
You stop drawing the building and you start drawing the firm.
That is the perfect distillation of Tier 6 leadership.
It really thumbs it up.
So to wrap up our deep dive today, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over based on this document.
Let's hear it.
Think back through the list we just covered. Notice how almost every single role, from the director of architecture all the way up through the digital multipliers and the VPs to the chief design officer, is explicitly tasked with integrating environmental performance into their daily decisions.
Yeah, the source makes it clear that sustainability is a built-in expectation across all disciplines now.
Right. It's no longer just the job of a niche green team. It's the standard operating procedure.